Bill Tilford here, speaking today with Jesse Charbonier, a Chicago-based vocalist and filmmaker who both performed at Jazz Plaza in Havana, Cuba in January of this year, and recently released a film, Black is the Color of Her Hair, a tribute to Cuba's Afro-Cuban arts community. Jesse, pleasure to have you on today. I think I'd like to start with your experience in Jazz Plaza. And actually, I'd like to move one step behind that. What first drew you into Cuba and its music?
Well, I am of Puerto Rican descent, so Latin music has always been a part of my being, my body and soul. I grew up listening to Tito Puentes and Celia Cruz, so Latin music has always been very, very dear to me. I mean, I remember being very, very young, and my mother would be sitting in front of the radio listening to Celia Cruz and Fania All Stars. So that was my first fascination with Latin music, and to this day, I always include a Latin song in any of my repertoires or in any of my projects.
And moving forward to Jazz Plaza, tell us the story of how you got involved with that.
Well, I just finished an album, literally, and Chicago was having its jazz festival. So I looked at the program and I noticed that there was an event for press, jazz journalists. So I thought to myself, if my CD comes in the mail, by the time this event happens, I will go to that panel discussion. It was like a workshop panel discussion. You were there. That's where I met you.
That's
And
correct.
I thought, I'll take it, and then who knows, maybe I can give it to some people. So the day before the actual workshop, I I got the CD, and I actually became aware of it through a gentleman by the name of Mike Jeffers, who also writes Chicago Jazz Magazine. So I went to go see him. And then I saw all of these journalists there. And so during the break, I gave my CD out to different people. And this lovely lady came up to me and she basically asked, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I just came out with a new CD. And would you like a copy?" And she said, "Yes, I would definitely like a copy." But she spoke to me in Spanish. So I spoke to her in Spanish, even though it's not necessarily my first language or best. I do know some Spanish from my growing up. And so I gave her the CD, and I also met you, and I gave you the CD. Actually, I think she was your companion. And so that was pretty much the end of it, so I thought. And then I believe I was in Florida, and I got an email from Ileana Perez. That's the wonderful lady's name. So Ileana Perez send me an email. Would you like to perform at the Havana, Jazz Plaza Festival? And I remember it vividly. I looked at it. I couldn't believe it. I read it because she wrote to me in Spanish, and I pretty much interpreted it correctly. So then I called a friend who was fluent, sent the email. I said, "Am I reading this right?" And she said, "Yes, you are reading it right." So of course I immediately respond to Ileana. I said, "Yes, definitely. I would love to go to perform there." I've been to Cuba before, 20 years prior, but it was more for film, to attend the Havana Film Festival. So I was there more as a guest and as a tourist. But now to participate in my first international festival, I thought Havana would be the perfect place to do so. And so a few weeks later, I got the official invitation, and then I was starting my journey there.
And once you were on the ground there, tell us what it was like.
Well, I went with a couple of friends who had never been there. So I had been there before, but still, I always remember it to be a very enchanting, wonderful, almost surreal place. I was looking forward more to seeing what their reaction would be. And I went with one woman, a good friend of mine. She's very well traveled. Right now, actually, she's in Abu Dhabi. And so she went along with me. And then also my music director and piano player, who's also Puerto Rican, never had been to Havana, and I really wanted, but his music is rooted in Latin jazz. With me, he performs more traditional jazz. His name is Adrian Ruiz. So he went along, and he came in a couple of days afterwards. So I was really eager to hear what their response was, being that it was their first time in Cuba. And it was as I expected. I mean, there were no words to describe. They couldn't find the words to describe how they felt about it. And to this day, we are planning on going back as soon as COVID is manageable, let's say.
Now, you've graciously shared some video of that performance, which we're going to include in this. Your rendition of "Don't Explain," I believe.
Yes.
That you did live in Teatro Maya.
Yes.
How did you hook up with the other musicians that you were working with?
Well, coincidentally, my piano player Adrian Ruiz lives here, and he connected with a guitar player who has a dual residency in Chicago and in Havana. So we connected with him so that when he went to Havana, he would then get the musicians together over there. The challenge with that is limited rehearsal time. So we got in as much rehearsal as possible. I remember we rehearsed actually in their front porch of their house in Havana, and all the neighbors were listening to us, and they were all coming by. So that's basically how that came together. So it was through his network that I was actually able to connect with the musicians that performed with me. And to this day, we're friends, and we stay in touch through Facebook, and we are planning to definitely, when I return, to get together to perform again.
I may have misspoken on the theater. It was Teatro America, correct?
Teatro America, yes.
Yeah, which is one of the iconic live performance
Yes.
spaces in the city.
Well, my first day there, I was with Christy, and her name is Christy Bear, and we were staying at a B&B near the Hotel Nacional. So I said, let's just take a walk. Let's just walk. And so we walked, and then I said, look at all those lights over there. Let's walk towards that direction, because we were on the Malecon, right on the Ocean Drive. So we turned and we ran right into Teatro America. And I said, oh my God, this is where I'm going to be performing. This is one of the venues. This is fantastic. And it really looks like it is it was period from the 60s. It looks like I just kind of worked into 1960s, because the whole decor was very Art Deco. So I was super excited to perform there, and knowing that I was going to be performing there. That was one of the two venues that I performed in.
What was the other one?
The other one was the outdoor plaza. I don't recall the name of it, but it's pretty much the plaza where the festival began. I believe you were there.
Maybe.
Right where the headquarters is.
Maybe the Casa de Cultura.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that was wonderful. It was an outside venue. Never performed outside. It was packed to the maximum. We performed, I think, around 11 o'clock. So it was really, really good. And my performance was very different from the others. The others were very high in Latin jazz and upbeat, and I was more traditional. So hopefully I presented a nice alternative.
Yeah. And you also have some stills that we'll share as part of our posting when this goes on the web. Is there anything you'd like to say about those?
Yes, one of them was actually in the front of the theater, right before the performance. And I especially like it because you could see the police officers in their green uniforms. So it was great to see from a distance Teatro America, and I was right in front of it, but I wanted to capture the police officers from Cuba because there's certain nostalgia to that. So I especially enjoyed that. And then there's a shot of me actually on the stage with my band during the performance. And I don't recall what the other one was, but it all centered around Teatro America and the performance there.
Okay.
Oh, one of them is actually, I'm sorry, in the lobby. of the
Okay.
theater, right in front of the Jazz Plaza poster.
Okay. What would you say was your single favorite highlight from that visit?
Well, I believe the Hotel Nacional. We were so close to the Hotel Nacional, so we
Mm,
would, because of course there's so much history there. I recently saw a Frank Sinatra documentary, and it was very prominent um, in that documentary. I also saw a documentary series on Netflix, uh, and it featured Hotel Nacional and all the things that went on there. So it has this historic significance, but
mm.
also walking through the cobblestone streets, of Havana, driving in the old antique cars, some looking mint condition, others looking a bit run down.
Yeah.
There is too much to mention, really, too much to mention. And of course, to look up into the sky and be able to see every star, that's another beautiful thing. And the people were just wonderful and warm and charming and really, really glad to see you.
Now, on the filmmaker side, you did a tribute to their Afro-Cuban artistic community,
Yes.
Black is the Color of Her Hair, which I believe you entered in film competitions down there. And if I understood you correctly, in an earlier conversation, it's in festivals now. Is that correct?
Well, Black is the Color is a um, video that kind of evolved in a very unique way. The guest, or I should say the host of my Airbnb, wanted to hear my music. And so I let them hear the album. And for some reason, that song they felt very strongly about. The gentleman, his name is Araudo Raul, is a renowned photographer there, but he's also the host of the B&B that I stayed in. So I noticed these beautiful pictures that he had taken of all of these different Cuban artists that were very accomplished, I would say legendary status, but also in Afro-Cuban garb. So I thought there must be a way that we can collaborate. So I thought, why don't we take Black is the Color and let's highlight your photos? And that's exactly what we did. So as soon as I returned to Chicago, literally the day that I landed in Florida on my way back to Chicago was when the first COVID case was documented. Shortly after I got back from Cuba, then of course the country went on lockdown. So that was probably the project that we worked on during the quarantine, um, and because it was such a, how would I say, sensitive time with COVID, with the all of the protests that were happening. Um, we worked on it and we thought, let's wait until the right time to release this video. So we thought it was a wonderful opportunity during Hispanic Heritage Month to release it during that period of time, which we're still in right now. So that's kind of how that evolved. So really, it was the beautiful artwork that I appreciated from this artist, but also he appreciated my song, and we thought, let's put it together and let's honor the Cubans of African descent. And that's how that basically came together. And we had a wonderful editor named Bill Steffi who lives right here in Chicago. So we were able to work on the actual editing with him. And then another gentleman who is a poet in Cuba, his name is Rodney Hernandez. He basically took the English lyrics from Black is the Color and did a poetic translation of it for all of our Spanish-speaking viewers.
Cool. I know COVID has slowed down a lot of things in all of our lives right now, but I understand you have another project nearing release. That would be the Stormy Weather Rhapsody.
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
Okay, so Stormy Weather Rhapsody is a short film that I wrote and directed and pretty much produced. It came about, and it's a true story of a group of dancers right here in Chicago, the Joel Hall Dance Company. And it's true stories based on different characters. We changed a few of the names just so that it's not as revealing, but the story itself is all true. And it's about the challenges that the dance artistic director and founder, had, some dancers had, I had. I'm performing in it. I'm not prominent in there, but I am performing. And they're basically getting ready to perform with me, but also all of the challenges in preparing for that performance in life, but also in the performance itself. It's a short film, and right now it's starting to get some appearances on film festivals.
Okay. Well, keep us in the loop on how that goes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anything else you'd like to add about your past or future experiences in Cuba?
What else? Well, I definitely know I want to go back. I'm hoping to perform there. We with the musicians, we talked about my return and then doing a tour of Cuba. What we found is that the Cubans really appreciate the traditional jazz, the traditional American jazz, the standards from Billie Holiday and Nat King Cole and Chet Baker. When we performed, we were shocked at how well it was received. I guess it's not performed there often. And
No,
Nat
but
King Cole recorded there. Actually, I went to the studio where he recorded in Cuba. So we want to go back and do a tour of Cuba.
excellent. Jesse, thanks a million,
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate your support.
and I'm sure we'll see each other around.
Yes, we definitely will. Perhaps in Havana.